From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry, and today we're having a fun conversation because what you'll be able to see right here on 22 News in the very near future are the NBC Olympics, the Winter Games coming from both Milan and Cortina, Italy. I am so excited today because I am joined by two people you probably recognize, Nicole and Victoria Buddie. They are reporters here at 22 News, but they are also synchronized skaters. You should think about swimming too.
I know. I don't know if we'd be good at it.
Well, when the ice melts.
That's true. There you go.
Synchronized skaters.
Yes.
So I have to ask you, you're both from Southern California, right? You're born and raised in San Diego, right?
Yep.
So how does somebody from San Diego, sunny, beaches, beautiful, how do you get into ice skating?
Well, when we were about 3 years old, our parents love the news. Like they wake up, they watch the news, they skim through every channel you can think of. They just watch all of them. And one morning when we were like 3, they were watching the news and then they were reading the San Diego Tribune at the same time. And then they saw an ad that said like free learn to skate class. So they were like, oh, it's, 30 minutes away from our house. Why don't we take them to this skating class? And then we tried it. We hated it. We liked it. We hated it. We liked it. And then we kind of just stuck with it.
But like any kid getting into sports, you like it, you hate it, you like it, you
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
And you have to stick with it.
I think like the first couple of years, it was like our mom will always tell us these stories. Like our aunt would take us to skating class. Like most of the time it was our parents. Like they have been our biggest supporters. But like occasionally it was like, hey, could you take the girls to the rink? And 30 minutes, that doesn't seem far, but it was north and a little bit of a distance. And I remember my mom always telling me this story. And our aunt was like, you're wasting your time, Patricia. Like they're not skating. Like I took them and my mom was like, were they on the ice? Did they have skates on? She's like, yes, they did, but they are not ice skating. And my mom was like, they're literally 5. They were 3. Now they're 5. I don't know what you expect to see. But I guess, as we head into Olympics, we'll talk about like, it's so insane to see in any sport, like how long it takes to get comfortable, to get good at something. So, yeah, it didn't look like ice skating when we first started.
Well, it never, at that age, it never does like anything. Those aren't soccer players, those aren't basketball players, they're not softball
But it's funny
players.
to family member to be like, can you take them out? Like, you are wasting your time. My mom's like, are there skates on their feet?
So
Are they on the ice?
So does your mother give your aunt grief nowadays and say, look at them
No, now she's super proud. Our dad is super proud, but obviously we'll probably get into that in a while. Now it looks a lot different, but I would say it's still as difficult. Yeah, they're obviously extremely proud. I think they're like, man, we created this monster. They're never getting out. Yeah. Like, this is something they're so dedicated to.
So my daughters grew up in dance,
Okay.
not ice skaters.
Similar lifestyle, though. Like
Exactly. They became competitive dancers from their dance studio. The thing that shocked me most is the cost. You know? And as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking, you guys had to have incurred the same problem because you have different outfits for different performances.
Yeah.
You're traveling it to all these different places. So the cost incurred in youth sports, and especially some of the ones that you think are really low cost.
The thing about like skating is like it's like which dance is similar, right? Like every time you're in a class or anytime you're in a private lesson, like anytime you step foot on the ice, there's a cost. And when there's two, if you have 2 kids, that is something we've always been really transparent about with like our family members, or maybe new skates, right? Skates just tend to be on the higher end of like equipment and sports.
And as a child, your foot's growing constantly.
Exactly.
Skates per year.
Yeah, no, I remember when we started skating, everyone starts skating right on their own in classes, and then you want to do similar to dance, you want to do competitions, and then we started like single skating, competing against other girls in the sport, and then not until we were 7 did we start synchronized skating. And as figure skating, at like you kind of
that's at a young age.
Yeah, and that's when the cost I feel like kind of increases because that's when it becomes like think of like travel hockey, like a travel team sport. So those cost increase and it's outside of different like specialty coaches and then but also to be on this team you need to pass XYZ test. So you need a coach that can get you through all these tests. But it's something like we've always been really transparent about, and we would hope to we've been in the coaching position and just hoping to make the sport more affordable, to get more people involved. And
how popular was skating in Southern California? Was it very popular?
In San Diego, everyone's like, "There's ice in San Diego." I'm like, "Yeah, there's an AHL team, so like the Thunderbirds of Springfield,
right.
we have the
Yep.
San Diego Gulls, and they had a hiatus.
But we
They
didn't
came
have,
back.
yeah, we didn't, the goals
But
like weren't really a thing when we were growing up.
No, it was like early on, and then it came back. But now there used to be like 1 or 2 rinks. I would say now in San Diego, there's about 5. I
Okay.
think that like the ice culture is growing
Okay.
just across the U.S.
Hockey is definitely more popular than figure skating. And synchronized skating is like the hub of synchronized skating is not in San Diego.
Right.
But like men and women skating, like freestyle, I would say San Diego's known a little bit more for that. But there are a lot of like world class coaches in San Diego.
Okay.
I guess I would just say like all these icons and talented skaters, they kind of just like spread out
Why
once
not?
they're
It's
done with their
Southern California.
exactly.
Yeah,
And also like who wouldn't
exactly.
want to live in
Why
San
go to Rochester, New York?
You're
Yeah.
right. And then once you step out of the ice rink, right? Like you don't have
Yeah.
to sit in your car with the heater on. You could like just like sit outside of the rink. So
You
when
take the convertible to
yeah.
and from the practice.
You're right.
Yeah.
In Florida, I didn't even think about it. Like, people don't think Florida as an ice skating location, but it's also growing. But hockey's still dominating a lot of places.
So you kind of alluded to it as you've progressed in your skating careers. Are you coaching littler kids now, or do you really focus on your own skills?
So so Nicole and I actually, like you said, synchro's not popular in San Diego.
Well,
so
I guess you should use just a synchro. So a lot of them, we've talked a lot about like the terms. We're synchronized skaters, which synchronized skating is a group of 16 on the ice skating at the same time. That's synchronized skating. The lingo nickname for synchronized skating is synchro, so we might refer to it as synchro.
Right.
But go back to
But
what
so
you're saying about coaching.
basically, so we in the past we've coached, we've coached younger teams. How we kind of grew, how we're planning to stay involved in synchronized skating. In college, we went to school in Michigan. We went to Adrian College, which is a really small private school, but they at the time when we went to college, they were one of 2 teams in the US that had a Team USA team attached to the university.
Interesting.
So my parents were like, "Hey, like, love you guys, but like, I'm not going to pay for skating in college." And we were like, "What?" Like, we're like, "Should we go to NYU? Should we go to ASU? Should we go to, school in Michigan or basically any other place in the
But
US?"
skating was kind of like the thing that's going to seal the deal, so we were able to commit there.
And it was the pro for the university, right? The college was that they would fully fund your skating career, which is like there at the time it was Adrian College or Miami University in Ohio.
Okay.
So, we picked Adrian, kind of went from there. Then we kind of had a downfall with coaching. Unfortunately, that coach isn't there anymore. But then we moved to we started commuting to a team that competed against our college. And then we were competing against our college, still going to that school. And then after college, because it was the pandemic, we graduated in 2020. We took a 4-year break from competitive skating. And because there was no competitions.
Okay, yeah,
Everyone was like, "Oh, I want to compete. I want to go to the world championships. I want to do this." And they were like, "Oh, there's no competition," because the whole world was closed.
Right.
So we started coaching. We had coached, in high school with kids and learned to skate classes. But that's when we led a synchronized skating program. You can kind of talk about that.
Yeah,
if you
we
want.
led a synchronized skating program in San Diego and really grew the sport there.
Oh,
But now
perfect.
we're back to competitive figure skating.
Good. Perfect chance for us to take our first break. We have plenty more to come to talk about competitive synchronized skating. Stay with us. We're back in a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of InFocus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. We're here in the 22 News Plus studios. Sitting across the desk from me today are Nicole and Victoria Buddie. You recognize them from being on air right here on 22 News, out and about in all of our communities. What we're talking about, though, is their passion, their hobby, which is synchronized skating. So we left it earlier with you
We said we
took
went
some
back to
time
competing.
off,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And then you went back to San Diego to kind of grow the youth involvement in skating.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's fast forward. How did you end up in Springfield, Massachusetts?
So how we got here, well, we were taking that competitive break, growing the sport. We were also working in local news in San Diego. We were working behind the scenes, and then we were like, okay, if we want to go back and compete for Team USA, like now's the time. I think we were 20. How old am I now? We were 25 at the time, and we had always been super transparent with all our bosses. Like, this is a thing that we plan to do when we plan to do it. That, of course, is up to funds. And, we can't just give up what we're doing now. So we were like, we want to be reporters and we want to go back to being competitive synchronized skaters. How can we do both? And Springfield is really the perfect place.
Why?
Well, when we were looking at teams, so in 2024, we were like, where can we go and skate? We have to try out for a team. So we decided, okay, let's try out for a team in Massachusetts. Let's try out for a team in Illinois. Our goal with skating has always been, right, one day with synchronized skating to make it up to the world championship. Right now, that's the highest that synchronized skating goes to. It's not in the Olympics yet. So we're like, let's go back. Let's see if we can make a team. We ended up making a team called Hayden Select, which trains out of the Skating Club of Boston in Norwood. So we're like, okay, that's like one check mark. Now we need to find a job. And we had been working behind the scenes in local news, like Nicole said. I worked in a national news network behind the scenes, and I worked in a local news station that was also a Nexstar station. Nicole had also been working in a Nexstar station, and we've always been super passionate about news, but we're like, we cannot be reporters in San Diego. The market is very talented. 22 News is very talented, but we needed kind of like a stepping stone and a place where, we could kind of get our foot in the door and kind of, get comfortable. So we applied to 22 News. And everyone's like, how did you both work there? Well, we kind of didn't give them an option. Well, our former news director, I tried to contact him, and we had to go through some other people to contact. But we kind of just came in, and he was like, what if I only have one position? And I was like, I looked at her and I was like, well, what, you give the one position to the one person that deserves it. But honestly, we would both like to be that one position. So I think we've kind of always worked really great together, and we're extremely blessed that, 22 News has been so incredible to us.
And you have a tough balancing act between your commitments here at the TV station to your personal commitments to the skating teams I mean, your practice. I can't even imagine at the level you're at. Practice commitments you guys have.
I think one thing when people are they're synchronized skaters, like, are they show skating? No, we
You're not nice capades.
No, we're not nice capades. We are full-time competitive athletes with the goal of trying to make it to the synchronized skating world championship. Unfortunately, we've had a difficult season this year. This season was extremely difficult. Last season, we've always shared with viewers on 22 News, like, how important our skating career is compared to 22 News, right? We love both. We have a passion for news. We have a passion for synchronized skating. But right now, last year we had a great season. Our team was the national team, right? So we represent the USA. We were able to travel to Poland with our team, represent the country, which is really incredible. We've both represented the country for multiple years, and that's something we want to continue to do and get to the highest point in the sport. Unfortunately, though, this year our team didn't make the national team, which has been kind of, it's been a bump.
When you say your team, you mean the team out of Norwood?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Hayden Select. That's our team. We tried out for that team a year and a half ago. We made it. We did all last season with them, and then every year you have to try out again. That's the interesting thing about synchronized skating. We committed to this season, and our next biggest thing with the team is heading to the U.S. We do have a competition in Canada, but our biggest thing this season will be heading to the U.S. Synchronized Skating National Championship.
Where's that one?
That is actually in Salt Lake City, Utah, with the goal of U.S. figure skating putting the national championship there was for the hope of synchronized skating being in the Salt Lake City Olympics in 2034.
Oh, wow.
Let's hope it gets there. Let's hope we're in the 2030 Olympics, the sport, but...
So let me ask you a question, and please don't take offense to this at all. Do you see, because of your age, you're creeping up on your late 20s?
Mm-hmm.
Will you age out? Is there like a 19-year-old? I always see these figure skaters.
Yeah.
They're 17, they're 16,
it's such a valid question. And I think that's so important because people are always like, oh, you have this dream. And these are the conversations we have with our parents.
Back and forth on the phone.
On the phone while we're driving long drives, to work and to skating. It's how long can you maintain this lifestyle?
Right.
And that becomes a question that I think, we said, we're super transparent people, but it's physically and mentally. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot. Like we wake up,
The desire's there. It's just,
yeah,
can you physically and
yeah.
mentally continue
And
this?
it's so funny. I think Christina Demore, she was asking us the other day, she was like, what's like the average age for like
Yeah.
a figure skater? I'm like, honestly, like in the US, we are probably one of our teammates is 31. In the US, we are probably one of the oldest skaters in the division in the US.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy. In Canada, there's a few 27-year-olds, I would say, in other
Some 30s,
countries.
yeah.
But the reason, and I think why people are like, it's, the age, the reason why you don't see that many older, right, 20s
Right.
skaters is because the sport is so expensive. So it's not very ideal for an athlete to have a full-time career and pursue the sport because it's not fully funded.
Okay, so, and that's I think that differentiates what you do
Yeah.
from what we see figure skaters on TV.
Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They get paid for that, right? The sponsorships and all that other stuff.
Little payments, I would say, little
Oh, really?
sponsorships. Yeah. Synchronized skating is the discipline of figure skating that has like the least amount of financial support. But probably just like those 2% of the top 2% of figure skaters, I would say, are getting are getting that financial support. But the rest of us have side jobs. A lot of them are coaching in the mornings before training, after, things that people don't see. But again, so different compared to like NFL, NHL, right? And I always tell people like, well, for example, like if you're in the NFL, you are getting paid to do the sport you love. Meantime, we are paying to do the sport we love. But that's how it is until it reaches Olympic potential.
Yeah. That's a great way to end this segment, because when we come back, we are going to talk about the Milan Cortina Olympics. So stay with us.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of In Focus. Sitting across the desk from me today are Nicole and Victoria Buddie. They are 22 News reporters, as well as synchronized skaters. It is their passion, their hobby, and that's really what we're talking about today, because we all know about reporters. That's boring. That's boring stuff. So today we're talking about their passion for synchronized ice skating, how they got into it, like growing up in Southern California and making their way all the way here to Massachusetts. You guys have mentioned a few times, synchronized skating is not an Olympic sport, but the goal is, the hope is
2030.
2030. So just 4 years from now. So
yeah,
where are the 2030 Olympics?
So the 2030 Olympics will be in the French Alps, and every year or every Olympic season, the country that hosts the Winter Olympics gets to pick.
I think it might be the same for the Summer Olympics,
but they get to pick the sport they want to add.
Oh.
So this year, what was it this
Are you
year?
guys lobbying? Are you guys flying to France?
I mean,
showering people with red wine?
Wait,
You're right.
France has a couple of synchronized skating teams too, and they have become more successful. But actually, like the top Italian synchronized skating team has literally they're like top 6 in the world. You'd have to fact check me, but they're up there. But like again, the Winter Olympics are in Italy. Who knows why that didn't happen? But there are movements. One Team Movement is a nonprofit organization that's global, and they are like the main organization that's trying to push for synchronized skating into the Winter Olympics. Okay. As of like last month, the International Skating Union, which is like the international governing body for speed skating, synchronized skating, and figure skating, they released this thing that they're going to try Synchro 9, Synchro, like the nickname for synchronized skating, for the 2028 Youth Olympics.
Oh.
So that's a pretty big deal. That's probably like the highest place the sport has gone. But again, you have to be anywhere, I think, from like, again, you'll have to fact check me, like 7 to 17, 7 to 16. They're trying to reduce the number of skaters. Synchronized skating is 16 skaters on the ice. We were on a team last season that tried 12. But I guess the International Skating Union wasn't a huge fan of that. But
when you're out skating in a competition, there's 16 people on the ice.
Yeah.
So it's not just, I'm thinking of like pairs figure skating.
I know.
You two are together.
And people think like, oh, you're related. It's you together.
But you're in a group.
Yes. So synchronized skating really combines like pair skating, men and women skating, ice dance. You take all 4 disciplines that are in the Olympics, you combine them, that's synchronized skating. Okay. And then synchronized skating, 16 people on the ice skating, performing different shapes, in unison. And right, the whole thing about figure skating is storytelling. So on top of executing all these elements, whether it's a shape, a no hold, right, 4 lines not connected, or maybe it's a block and everyone's connected, maybe it's 2 girls that are doing a spin together, you have to do it in unison.
So
That's
it's
synchronized
interesting.
skating.
When I was thinking of synchronized skating, not that you two skated together,
Yeah.
but you each had a partner separately. I didn't realize it was 16 people.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
It's
you
a
had
lot.
14
There's a lot.
partners.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, hey, you probably just hop on the team, right, and match." But like, it's a skill. It's like if you were to do pair skating, you train with that partner, and like it's the movement, the way that you guys move on the ice takes time. So training, being on a team with 15 other people takes time, right? When she moves her arm up, I have to move my arm at the
Right.
same time. So
Think of like almost like the Rockettes on
Yeah,
ice.
yeah,
exactly.
That's the best
That's
way to.
exactly
I
what
don't
was
know
going
how
through
many
my
the
head.
Rockettes. There's a lot of them, but now
It's
you
the
have to
same idea.
execute several different shapes, several elements with speed, with music. It's very complex,
So
and it
how-
deserves to be in the Olympics.
So how long do you rehearse a routine before you perform it?
Well, normally the season starts in May, as early as May, and then we end sometime in March, typically March. So the season is like 9-10 months long.
And you're training that routine. You have 2, depending what level you're training those 2 routines for like 6 months before you compete.
So you're only doing 2 routines.
Yes.
2 routines for the entire season. And at the Olympics, you'll see each discipline have
Right.
2 routines as
That's a
well.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get everyone
Yeah.
on board. And the thing with synchronized skating is, it's not like ice dance or pairs. You stick with your partner for a while.
Right.
Every year, people
Come
leave,
and go.
people
Mhm.
retire,
So
right?
you have to, so is this is your second year with the team?
With this
Right.
team, but we've been synchronized
But-
skaters since we were 7.
Right. But so this is the second year with the team. So how many different people on this team from last year, from your first year?
Well, last year, Hayden Select, our team was an Elite 12 team. So 12 skaters were on the ice. Overall,
So you plus 10 others.
yes, that's plus 10. Overall, last year, we had 18 people on the team,
12 on the ice.
12 on the ice, but we lost 9. And then this year, our team expanded to 20. So we gained 11. So we
Okay.
have 11 new.
Yeah, a lot of new
Yeah.
people,
Lot of turnover.
got to
Yeah.
get everyone on the
Mhm.
same page. That is always a challenge for every single team,
Yeah.
across the world.
I would say kind of like football. Like there's the draft, and every year you get new players, but it's like
good point.
obviously you
They
can.
got to learn the routine.
Right.
They got to learn the
plays.
plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's more challenges than others, but I guess that's the difficulty of the sport.
And the beauty of the sport.
We got about a minute left.
Yes.
If somebody wants to watch synchronized
Mhm.
skating, is it on TV? Do they go to a rink? What?
You can find it on Peacock. You won't see it at this upcoming Olympics,
Right.
but we can just tell you like real quick who you can watch at this Olympics.
Yeah.
Out of our club, the Skating Club of Boston, we have 3 Olympians: Max Naumov, Emily Chan, Spencer Howe. Max tragically lost his parents in the DC plane crash, and he has made his Olympic dream come true. So just watching him out there, that's going to be something phenomenal.
Right.
Emily and Spencer, they're a pair team. They've been together for a really long time. There is just so much talent out at our club, and we're excited, to have these 3 skaters from
Right.
Massachusetts go all the way to Milan. I think you have men's figure skating, women's figure skating,
Ice dance and pair skating.
the men's team. I mean, the entire U.S. Olympic figure skating team is so talented.
Oh yeah.
But pairs, you got the guys lifting, the girls. There is just so much to see. Ice dance, the edges. You got to watch
Yeah.
Peacock,
I will.
NBC on 22 News. You can watch all of the Olympics. Synchronized skating on Peacock.
And it's inspiring because it shows, no matter what sport you watch or no matter what you see that like people have dedicated their life to a passion and that they have, they have resilience, they have goals, and they're following their dreams.
Fantastic,
Mhm.
Nicole and Victoria. Thank you both so
Thanks
very
for
much.
having us.
Thanks, so much fun.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.